Hi, I'm Jim Porter, owner of Foundation Technology Systems. In this story, we'll show you an example of our residential work and how we go about resolving a foundation problem. This house was built 40 years ago across a ravine. The ravine was filled in and the house was placed on top of that. The fill area in that ravine is settled because of the water accumulating around the house, the fill not being properly compacted, and it's allowed this footer to break. So this house is settled approximately 5 inches in this one area. This is how we're going to fix this problem. We're going to install the helical piers on 6-foot intervals. The helical piers are screwed into the ground deep enough until they finally hit a firm strata that is capable of supporting the weight of this home. It's like putting a screw into a piece of hardwood. It tightens up tight, and that gives us a lot of load-bearing capacity. This is a permanent fix. All of our piers are made in the USA and are manufactured according to the strictest ISO 9000-2001 standards. We're one of the only companies in the country that can adhere to these strict regulations. There's about a 4.5-inch settlement that runs from the left to the right.
It's very important to fix this house because it is our home. My mother and father moved here 20-some years ago. I promised my dad when he passed away that I would take care of my mother. There had been some repairs done in the past, and I do know that the people that did the repairs did the best that they could to their ability. Unfortunately, under the circumstances, it wasn't sufficient. Now, having met Jim, I know that this is going to be a solution and the house will be fixed correctly. Jim has a way about him that makes it easy to talk to. He gives me answers that are in a way that I can understand. I saw on his website that they raised Fort Macon. I thought if he could raise Fort Macon, he could sure fix my mom's house.
When we come to the lifting part, that's when we hook up a different type of jacking brace or mechanism to each one of the pier locations. And that's when we will hydraulically lift this house back. What we need to do is bring it up in stages, little at a time. If we try lifting it all the way back at one time, it could break something else. Okay. So we need to monitor it very carefully, and this is what David does. He uses a feel for this. It's not something you can learn in a book. You just have to do it a lot.
During the process of the house being raised, you would notice the blue tape on the joints on the side. Now that was a very good visual for people like me that didn't really have the patience to stay here and watch the whole process. But as the house rose, the tape buckled. And that was an extremely great visual to see how much was actually being done to close the cracks in the house. Jim Porter and his crew have been completely and totally professional with my mother and myself. The house was a challenge to begin with, and he told us that. He did not make any false guarantees. He told us he would get the house fixed as close to 100% as absolutely possible. And Jim has said that in this case, this house was probably as bad a house he's ever seen, but it has come up as well and is settled and is in place as best he's ever seen. He's very knowledgeable about his equipment, very knowledgeable about how the process is to be done on the house. David and his crew were on time, they were courteous, they performed their tasks, and they did it extremely well. The shutters were all out of level, and now they are all perfectly straight. Windows had 2-inch gaps, and now they're closed up. One of my main concerns were doors not being able to be opened or closed. Now the doors are working just like the day they were built. My mother will be safe, she will be comfortable, and when she drops things on the floor, they won't roll to the middle.
We do no more work than necessary. That's the FTS difference. This means less money for the homeowner while still accomplishing their structural goals and doing a good job. This is Jim Porter signing off for FTS. Hope to meet you someday in person to help solve your foundation problem.